All right, first things first. What I like to do is, brush the hairs down to kind of lay them down. You know, you want to have a clean area to work with. So it's best to just, brush it all down. So I don't know, it just makes it easier and it looks better when you do that too. So just, brush it all down. So the next thing after that is you want to use like I'm using here liners. So pretty much the blades are close together, which we'll call that a closed blade. And then we want to set a guideline all the way around, the head. So you want to start at least somewhere near by the eyebrow, and then go all the way across. Now I'm gonna do like a drop fade, so it's gonna drop down. The guideline's gonna drop down, and then go around and back up. Now you want to try to keep this as straight as you can, even on both sides. You don't want it to be, uneven. You want it to kind of be, symmetrical on both sides. Then after that, you want to clean up that bottom area. You want to get rid of all that hair at the bottom. So pretty much I'm gonna, cut all that out, all the way around. And you don't have to be necessarily perfect, but you want to be as good as you can, as straight as you can all the way around. But like I said, it don't have to be perfect, but you don't want it to be way off to the point where one side is up and one side is down.
Hey, say.
Now we're gonna use I have another set of clippers where I can get a little bit closer to the hairs, because on the other clippers I couldn't get the hair. I can't get the hairs all the way down, so this will bald the back of the head. So pretty much get rid of the rest of those hairs that's there. Now that that's all done, now we're gonna do a open blade. So what that's gonna do, we're gonna open the blade where you see how I opened the blade. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up the hair up about a half an inch, going upward in an upward motion. So pretty much it's kind of going against the grain. And we're going to do a half inch all the way around. Now in the back, you can go a little bit higher. You don't necessarily have to do just a half inch. You can go a little bit higher than a half inch in the back, because you have more hair to work with in the back. But you'll see what I'm talking about when you see his hair. As you see, this side is kind of, it's a small area to work with. But in the back, once I turn him around, you see you have more hair going to the back. So you have more hair to work with. So you can actually go higher up, but you don't want to go too far up. But you can go a little bit higher than a half inch in the back. So just keep it consistent all the way around, as best you can all the way around. And then I like to go back and forth to make sure I get all the hairs out of the area. So pretty much that's what it should look like. Your first layer. That's your first layer. Now we got another layer that we're gonna work with. And that layer, well, here I'm gonna brush it down. I'd like to clean it up sometimes. So just to straighten, push the hairs back down, because when you pulling it up, it kind of flicks the hair out, so you want to brush it back down. But here we're going to use a number 1 guard. And this we're going to do the same thing, but in and we're gonna leave it open. We're gonna leave the blades open, and we're just gonna put the number one guard on, and we're gonna do the same process. We're gonna go about a half an inch up the hair all the way around. Same exact process, but to the second level. So we're gonna get to the dark area and try to drop that down some. And pretty much all you need is a half inch, about a half inch going up, and that's it. And you just, continue to do this all the way around. You see how it's creating an additional layer. So this will be our second layer. Alright, now we have our second layer. Now we have 3 layers in all. As you can see, like the bottom is really light, then the middle is, mid dark, and then we got the dark at the top. Now there's a bulk at the top of the hair, so we want to kind of get that, knock that bulk off. So what I'm gonna do is use the number one guard again. So see how I'm showing you, I'm pulling on the hair there. It's a whole bunch of hairs just sitting there, so we want to get that off of there. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna use the number one guard, and it's also gonna be closed this time. We want to close the blade, so we're no longer gonna have it open. We're gonna close it all the way. Then we're gonna put the blade on. All right, like I said, number one. Now this time we're not gonna go upward with the clippers. We're gonna go on a downward motion. Now we kind of going with the grain as opposed to going against the grain. Just to knock that hair off. And see, type of hair he got, you got to move, the clips away so you can get underneath. But yeah, just all the way around, just knock that hair off. See, it's almost making it blend on its own without even having to do any blending at all. But you will have to do some blending after this part. Alright, and I'm going to brush it again just to lay the hairs down again. Give me a little clean area to work with. Now you can see all 3 layers. You should be able to see all 3 layers. If not, yeah, there are 3 layers. A dark layer at the top, a mid-level layer, and a bottom layer. So right here, we're gonna use a 1.5. Yeah, it's a 1.5 guard. You probably can't see it there, but that's a 1.5 guard. And we're gonna also have the blade closed when we're doing this. So now we're gonna go against the grain and flick between that line. See how it's between the dark and the light? There's a line there, and we want to try to flick that out to kind of blend those 2 together. So it kind of look like it, one, like it's blended in, as opposed to, you seeing that line. So you want to dig in and flick out. So you're gonna just flick everything out to kind of, you know, get rid of that line. And that will pretty much blend it once you get rid of that line. You may have to do this a few times, going back and forth until, you know, you start seeing it, you know, blend. And it looks like it's just one piece, but it's blended. Keep doing it until you get it. Now you see the second line in the middle, which is between the light and the mid. So right here, I forgot to show the blade, but this is a half guard that we're using to flick out that line. So we're gonna flick, just keep flicking, and you want to try to use the edge of the blade of the guard as opposed to the whole guard. Try to use the corner of the guard to flick all the hairs out until that line is, you know, pretty much gone as much as you can. Then once you do that, we're gonna go back to a close. Well, no, I'm sorry. This part, I'm gonna go back over the top part again, just to lay it down some more. You know, help get that hair, some of them hairs from the top down as much as possible, and it also will help straighten it. You know, straighten the hairs back out. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it just helps. Now we're gonna go to a close. As you can see, the blades are closed. So pretty much it's gonna be cutting close to the scalp to get that line out as much as possible. Now it's not gonna be that easy to get it out because of the fact that I balled the back of the hair, but you can get it really close out to where you won't, it's not even noticeable. You just got to keep flicking at it until it just, you know, just but stay at the line. Don't go further than the line. Just stay right at that line and flick it out. Alright, so now we got it all flicked out. And you can see it's all looks blended. Now there may be some small imperfection. You may see a line a little bit in the mid, but it's not that noticeable in person. I think on the camera you can kind of see it, but you won't notice it in person. But now we're gonna work on the front line. Now this part is hard to show on the video, but pretty much it's just pretty much starting in the middle. So we're gonna use a lining clippers, and we're gonna start right in the middle. And then we're gonna go. I start from middle and then go to the left. That's the way I like to start first. Let's go middle to left, but you can go middle to right or middle to left. It doesn't really matter, as long as you start in the middle and go one way or the other. Because you don't want to start at the corner and then go across, because you can possibly end up, you know, cutting too far up in the hair. So you want to stay in the middle to the left or middle to the right. Now all of this is, I'm going to kind of go fast with it because it's hard to show it on this video, but you pretty much just trying to line it as best you can. Don't go far into the hair. You don't want to push the hair back. You just want to stay at the edge of the hair and just tap it. Tap the blade onto the head. To make that line, you just tap it. And then on the corner here, you want to kind of use the edge of the blade to curve. If you like to make curves, like what I'm doing right now, I'm gonna curve it. So I'm using the edge of the blade, and then I'm cutting here, and then I'm curving it at that little curve spot right there. I don't know what you would call that, but you use the edge of the blades to make that curve. And what you do on this side, you do the same thing on the other side. See how I'm using the edge? And like I said, same thing you do on that side, you do on the other side. So now I'm going from middle to right. Just tap it, tap it, tap it. Don't go into it. Stay as close to the, I will say, the dark part of the hair, if that makes sense. And the same thing, we want to use the edge of the blade to make that curve. Now you don't necessarily have to make a curve like that. You can kind of make it into a box if you want, like straight cuts. It don't necessarily, but that's kind of old school. People don't do it that way anymore, but they used to back in the day. And then right now I'm just looking at it to see some imperfections. I'll always kind of see some imperfections somewhere, so I'm gonna go back around and kind of adjust it a little more. Now, there's some leftover hair right here on the side. And the only reason why I left that hair there is because I like to make that curve, as you can see, with when I line them up. And what I'm using is a closed blade to just flick that out, and make it blend. So that way you still have that curved line. That's why I keep that line, that hair there, so I can make a curve in it. Otherwise, if I would have just cut that out earlier, I wouldn't have been able to get that curve that I wanted. And you just, flick it out. Same thing you do on that side, you do on the other side. So we do the same exact thing and do some cleanup work as well. Anything you see kind of off, just clean it up. Like right now, I see a little extra hair at the top there, and that's pretty much it. This is the final piece. It's not the greatest, but I do what I can do. That's all. So if you like, let me know. That's it. We out. Peace.